With the thrill of extreme sports comes a much higher level of risk, especially for athletes competing at a pro level, but making peace with the worst case scenario is just part of the job.
How key is avoiding thinking about the danger element to it?
There's people that have been paralyzed, lost their legs, there's people that have died, you know, those are the risks that we take and everyone knows that. Even though I've been injured many times, I love it so much. There's nothing about it that frightens me, you know. I love, like, the faster I go, the more fun I'm having. And crashing is just a part of our job. You know, the downs also make you appreciate the highs a lot more as well. So it's all about perspective.
I mean, I always describe my runs and my general attitude as like complete focus and then just a bit of not caring, because that's how it is. I mean, if I'm trying to like nitpick how I do the flip, you know, I'm not picking landmarks. It's so fast. You're going through the air, you're flying down the, you know, the walls of the half pipe are 22 feet tall going downhill and they're made out of ice. You know what I mean? Like, you're going, and it's one of those things where I'm just thinking one wall ahead every time so that I don't mess myself up.
How much of big wave surfing is physical and how much is mental?
I'd say half-half. The physical aspect is you gotta be strong to be on the rope, to handle the high speed that we go down those waves, to handle the beat downs. And then the mental is, instead of getting to a point where I'm afraid and I freak out and I accelerate, I tend to do the opposite. I tend to go slower and slower and slower. And that is really good for oxygen saving and decision making and a bunch of different things that eventually hopefully save my life.
You know, there's a lot of people that experience this in sports. They said if you can block out every other feeling, every emotion, every thought, you can actually slow down time. You know, when everything's going wrong, that's what really saves your life, and that's what I love, those moments.
Explain what you'll visualize in preparing for a climb.
I mean, I visualize the whole process, you know, what it'll feel like, you know, the physical feeling of like my fingers holding the holds. I think about the position, like what it'll feel like being up high and like the air all around. I think about what it'd be like to fall off different places, you know, things like that. I mean, the thing is, like, if the idea of falling to my death is like insurmountable, like if I can't get past that fear, then like I probably shouldn't be up there. You know, you can't just like suppress that and then just like go, I mean, you have to accept like the whole experience.
Your worst injury to date?
My worst injury was broken pelvis. The pelvis, you don't realize, you know, it's the center of your body and so much of your movements are based on your pelvis. It took me about almost 6 months to really start skating again.
Wow.
And it took me a full year to gain my confidence back of tricks that I used to take for granted.
Why?
Because you just feel so fragile and you feel like, oh, maybe I'll fall. What if I hit my hip again? And it just gave me pause. It took me a long time before I did 900s again, I'll tell you that.
Talk about you're 14, 15 years old and what happened that nearly killed you.
Well, bottom line was I didn't go fast enough. Basically, the whole spinal column went through the pelvis, shattered the sacroiliac joint, and they ended up having to fuse the SI joints together. And, you know, almost bled out. But when I woke up from that, the first thing I thought was, well, can you get this back together so I can try that jump again before they take it down? And, you know, it's part of the sports. And if it's worth it to you, there's no better life.